The Locked On Podcast Network presents the NBA Big 3 in 30. The 3 biggest stories in the NBA from our local experts at the Locked On Podcast Network. We bring you the real story, why it matters, what's next, who wins the big game, and more, all in 30 minutes. The NBA Big 3 in 30 starts now with the biggest story in the NBA.
Steph Curry just went for 52 points, 12 three-pointers.
You are Locked On Warriors.
I know Jimmy drinks great wine.
Your daily Golden State Warriors podcast.
Warriors 134, the Memphis Grizzlies 125. What an epic performance. I mean, I'm stunned. I'm shaking. Steph Curry 16 of 31, 12 of 20 from three-point range, 10 rebounds, 8 assists, almost had a triple-double. You knew after one quarter that this was one of those Steph Curry games. However, you also thought that this would be one of those games that the Warriors cruised to a victory because of the way that they were playing, but it was not that way at all. Not that way at all. But mama, there goes that man again. The NBA record, 14 threes. Obviously, Klay Thompson set that record years ago. Curry didn't quite get there, although he was on pace for a good majority of this game with 8 in the first half. I think what kind of puts this game into a nutshell for me is Quentin Post getting the halftime interview and Bob and Kalina asking him the first question and Post saying, "Why the hell are you talking to me?" And he's right, because Curry had one of those performances, 32 points in the first half, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals. He was 11 of 16 from the floor, was 8 of 10 from 3. He had 8 threes in the first half. But you knew you were going to get the Memphis Grizzlies' best game. The Grizzlies have now lost 4 in a row. They are now behind the Golden State Warriors in the Western Conference standings. The Warriors in that 5 spot. This is incredible what we are seeing with Curry and Jimmy Butler just continuing to win games together. But how? How did the Warriors have to survive this one late? The answer is Memphis knows that they are free falling and they know that they need to win every single game right now, and they gave it their best shot. Grizzlies played excellent in the game today. Let's start with them. Desmond Bane had 19. Ja Morant had 36. He was hitting everything. 5 of 8 from 3. Jaren Jackson had 22. The team as a whole shot at 47% from the floor, 40% from deep. But that's enough on the Memphis Grizzlies because, again, the flight leaves soon. What I will say about the Warriors is that Curry's going to get all the talk, but a few plays define this game late for me. Let's start with Buddy Hield. Warriors up 1, couple minutes left in the game. Hield knocks down a huge 3 to give him a little bit of separation, but then all of a sudden the Grizzlies go on a little run. They go up late, and you're like, oh my God, are the Warriors really going to spoil a Steph Curry 47-point performance at the time and lose this game to Memphis? And you know what Steph does? He hits a 3 to give the Warriors the lead for good, and not only that, to give him 50 for the game. Curry finished with 52. Then from there, Jimmy Butler was awesome down the stretch, 12 of 12 from the free throw line. He had 27 points in the game, 6 rebounds, 4 assists. I was seeing on Reddit early in the game, fans were saying Butler's really got to take over. He's got to start doing some scoring. That's an efficient 7 of 11, 12 of 12 in the charity stripe, and 27 points in the game. But the defining moment, final stages of the game, Steph misses a 3, and Brandon Podziemski flies in there, tips it up and in, and that was what put the game on ice. The Golden State Warriors survive against the Memphis Grizzlies. This is not a green screen, everyone. I'm legit doing this. I got pilots walking by me, looking at me like, what the hell is this guy doing in the middle of the airport? But I had to hop on here and say, holy Curry. I'm a man of the people. That was freaking awesome. For the Warriors, Draymond Green had 13, 1 of 7 from 3. There was a moment in the game where I'm sure every Warriors fan was saying the same thing. Draymond, stop shooting threes. Warriors were up 10 after the first quarter, I believe it was. They were up 13. They scored 45 points in the first quarter. They were up 45-32. And I'm thinking to myself, how is this a ball game? And again, it's because Memphis really did play well. a lot better than they've been playing in recent games. And that's when Steph Curry goes out in the second and third quarter. They fail to hit 30 after 45 in the first. And a lot of it was due to those non-Curry minutes, and a lot of it was due to Draymond just chucking up a lot of threes that were wide open. But in the moment, it's like, hey, you don't have it today. I know it's Memphis. I know you can't stand Memphis, but pass the basketball. But he had some huge defensive moments down the stretch and quietly had a triple-double. 13 points, 10 rebounds, 12 assists in the game. Warriors, did I mention the 5 seed? Yes, I did. Curry had 45 points after 3, finished the game with 52. So it wasn't like he had some onslaught late. In fact, he had 32 at the end of the first half, only scored 20 in the second half. But this is just what we've gotten, man. I mean, I was in the same airport getting ready when Kolsky did the solo show last week against the Miami Heat, getting ready to board this plane, watching his show. And in that game, the Warriors scored 86 points a week ago. They had 74 in the first half today. And since then, they scored 148 points in a game against the San Antonio Spurs. And today they drop 134 and get a gutsy win against the Memphis Grizzlies. More separation in the 5 spot right now. I mean, this was playoff level basketball tonight. And once again, it shows you that if you have number 30 on your team, you got a chance. Does it feel like 21-22? I don't know yet. There's a lot of basketball to be played, but look at the record with Steph Curry since Jimmy Butler has been traded. It is impeccable. The team has been sensational. Forget the 2 games that he was out with the contusion. Jonathan Kuminga was out today with a pelvic contusion. So all of a sudden there's something in the water with the Warriors. There's pelvic contusions going around. But this is where we stand. The Warriors improve to 44-31 on the season. The Grizzlies dropped to 44-32, and that is all she wrote.
March Madness is almost over, and FanDuel is giving you the chance to get in on the action like never before. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's 200 extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories and even who's cutting down the nets. The FanDuel app is simple to use, and when I win, I get paid instantly. No waiting around. Check out some NBA games while you're at it. The Pistons have a tough Western Conference matchup with the Thunder. FanDuel has the Thunder favored by 15. Visit FanDuel.com and get in on all the hoops action.
Nikola Jokic goes for 60, 10, and 10 in a loss.
You are Locked On Nuggets, your daily Denver Nuggets podcast.
The story of the game is the Russell Westbrook mistakes. The biggest thing is like Nikola Jokic's otherworldly performance, playing 40 straight minutes, scoring 61 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists, 2 steals, just 4 turnovers in 52 minutes and 38 seconds of play. He had 4 turnovers in 52 minutes and 38 seconds of play. He shot 18 of 29 from the field. He had 61 points on 29 shots because he got to the line for 19 of 24. Yoke, like I was at the Blazers game where they lost the quadruple overtime or whatever, and he played like 63 minutes. And I've always known that his endurance was crazy. Like he outran Davis 2 years ago in the title run, and that was like the first time everyone was like, "Oh, like I thought he was just like this kind of fat dude," and then it was like, no, like he's genuinely made of a different kind of motor. Jokic's performance playing 40 straight minutes, and I want to be clear on this. Malone asked him, like, hey, like, try to talk him into going out several times. And Jokic said, no, I feel good. I'm good. Just, I want to stay in. That's your superstar. Like, that's your guy. Is the guy that, in a game that would have dropped their magic number to 2, played 40 minutes straight and 53 minutes overall to try and get them a win. There is nothing more that Nikola Jokic could have done to get them a win. He could not have played better. He could not have played harder. He left his entire body and soul on that court. And then after the game was kind of like, yeah, I don't know. We'll see if I play tomorrow or not, because he's a psycho. It was a really awe-inspiring, and without Michael Porter Jr. and Jamal Murray, a really admirable performance. On top of just like, look, some guys put up 60 or I don't know, theoretically 70 versus like lottery teams, and they just dominate those teams that can't compete with them because they're so physically overmatched, right? Theoretically. And they do so in like 37, like a random number, like 37 minutes is what they're able to do that in. But like Yoke went up against an elite defense with so much physicality, with one of the best interior defenders the game has ever seen. And he dropped 61 points in 52 and a half minutes. It was an awe-inspiring performance. It was so incredible, and he deserved the win. He did not get it. Now, this is where we talk about this. Chill and Fluent Fanboy says Malone's job is not safe. I will tell you that right now, that's not true. His job is absolutely safe right now. He may not be after the playoffs, but this game does not change that. Let's talk Russ. So, and we'll have to come back to this. As a fan, you should be livid that he missed the layup. The question in evaluating this, if we want to go deeper than just player missed layup, rah, we'll get to the foul. If you want to go deeper than that, because this is the podcast, and I can't just be like, missed the layup, rah, that's boring, that's bad content. And it's not the way that I think about these things. The question is there a decision that he made that was wrong? Is the decision that he made wrong? And I will tell you this is the players were discussing it, and this is off record, so I'm not going to name who was saying this, but I will say it was a consensus. Every single player said that Russ should have taken that layup. Every single player. Not on record where they have to say the right thing. They had anonymity, and I will tell you, they believed wholeheartedly, that locker room believed it was the right decision for him to take that layup. So the decision was right. Instead of pulling it out and burning clock and getting fouled, where he could have missed the free throws, there's a number of things, like who knows what happens. The decision was like very firm that he should have taken that layup. And the comments after the game were authentic, in my opinion, from both Michael Malone and Nikola Jokic. Because Michael Malone said, I feel awful for Russ. He knows what he cost him. He's a perfectionist. He knows how he cost him. And Jokic was asked about, is he going to speak to Russ? And he said, why? Like, he was like, why? It's a basketball play. It happens. He had an open layup. He took it. He missed it. That happens. That's what happened. Now we'll get to the foul. We'll get to the foul coming up. Because I will just be honest with you. Longtime fans of the show will know that I am not someone that engages in very easy content that would get me lots of likes if I was just like, the Nuggets get such a terrible whistle and all the officials hate them and blah, blah, blah. That's easy, but I can't do that because it's just not who I am. It's inauthentic for me to just do that. I will tell you about how I feel about that call here in a little bit. The problem I have is that Russell Westbrook is the guy that misses that layup. And that sucks in all sorts of ways. It sucks for Denver because they wanted it for it to be different for him and for them. They need somebody that can make those kind of plays, that creates a steal in that type of situation. And Russ works so hard to be great, but this is who he is. The basketball gods have determined that he's the guy that misses that layup. That's who he is. Steph Curry is the guy that just chucks it up from 50 feet and it goes in. Russell Westbrook's the guy that mixes that layup. That's who he is, and that sucks. But that's who he is. Now you can say, and that's why he shouldn't have played. So the foul is a lot simpler. You don't call that foul. That's a garbage foul to call. That game was a classic. That game was amazing. All year long, The NBA's heard about how the product is bad and the games aren't good and the players don't try. And you get this gem of a game. This absolute beautiful dish created by the basketball gods and Jokic and Ant. Two absolute titans going head to head. Ant with a terrible first half and then just takes over in the fourth quarter. Jokic battling back, playing 40 minutes straight. It is phenomenal. Big play after big play after big play. And all of it sets up, and you decide it on that piece of foul. That's what you decide this game on? Who wants that call made? I know some nerd friends who are like, well, actually, if it is a foul, it should always be called. I don't care. This is an entertainment product, and it is a competitive sport. Let the competitors decide. Do not call a foul on a contest after the ball is gone with 0.1 seconds left. After you were to, by the way, chicken shit, to make a call on an out-of-bounds call so that when you call jump ball, it can't be reviewed. There are 700 stoppages in the NBA game, and you can't review that one? But you're going to make that call. Russell Westbrook made a desperation closeout in a wild sequence at the end off of a double team to try and recover and make a play, to try and disrupt a good shooter from knocking down a game winner. That call should never have been made. That is not how it should have happened. Now, so I don't blame Russ for making the decision to close out that way. I don't care if he speared Nickeil Alexander-Walker into the third row. That call should not have been made. The decision to shoot the layup was right. He missed it. I don't know what the answer is there. You have to shoot it. You have to shoot the layup. I don't have confidence he's going to make it. You have to make it. That's the answer. You have to make the layup. Like, you just have to make the layup. And he didn't. And lost him the game. And then after the game, he left before media was allowed to speak to him. Like, he left before the locker room even opened to us. And that was disappointing because I think if there's any situation in which Russ is going to... Now, Russ, I will make very clear on this. If Russ is not told by PR that he's going to podium that night, Russ leaves before we get in there. He's done that the entire season. He does not speak to us in the locker room. Now, I'm not going to get into, like, the rules about what the NBA requires. Like, the NBA can start that out of Russell Westbrook if they want more Russ quotes. That's their decision. What I will tell you is that, like, we obviously wanted to speak to the man accountable for the loss, and we're not provided that opportunity. And I think that's a bad decision by him, but who cares what I think?
The NCAA tournament is here, and so is the Bracket Breakdown.
Locked On Podcast Network and Amazon Fire TV channels are teaming up to deliver NCAA tournament coverage like never before. Watch studio shows featuring former players and Locked On's local experts as they guide you through every upset, buzzer beater, and bracket matchup.
Stream it all for free on Amazon Fire TV channel. Search Bracket Breakdown to see it all for free.
It's your team every day.
A historic shooting performance for the Milwaukee Bucks.
You are Locked On Bucks, your daily Milwaukee Bucks podcast.
There was a lot of lead up to this one, not quite as much as when the schedule came out because of how both teams are performing. But Mike Budenholzer makes his return to Milwaukee. I do want to get to the overall vibe from that and the vibe in the arena tonight, but we'd be remiss to not start with what the Bucks did offensively and how this was teetering on disaster. No other way to put it. On a night where you shoot 69%, which is a franchise record, the highest shooting percentage in a game since the Clippers 27 years ago did this to the Raptors, and you had to fight to win this game. That was the troubling part in the mix.
Well, it's funny. When I saw some of the shooting line stats for both teams, I thought back to Game 5 in the 2021 Finals when, you looked at I forget what the Suns' shooting splits were in that game, but they were not shooting splits that I'm guessing a home team has put up and lost an NBA Finals game, because both teams just shot the lights out in that one. And this one, I mean, Camille and I talked about it after last game. Bucks shot 85% in the first quarter of the last game. And, ultimately had that really bad third quarter. Tonight, they never had the stinker quarter, and that's good because they couldn't have afforded that. And, you know, again, frustrating in the sense that, you know, we haven't seen as many Bucks wins as we'd like this year. And when they have won, it has not been typically with the level of consistency. I mean, we're not expecting them to dominate every night, but, you know, games like this where you expect when you have it working like this offensively, you hope that you can win a game like this very comfortably. And that didn't happen. But, you know, obviously at this point, you know, no Dame 4-game losing streak. This team just badly needed a win. I badly needed a win. We badly needed a win. All of our listeners and viewers across the world badly needed a Bucks win. And I thought, you know, this felt like, you know, Justin, like for the baseball fans out there, you know, the idea of the stopper pitcher, right? The pitcher in a playoff series that comes in and, you know, you hand him the ball and you need that win, game 7, or if you're down, whatever, you desperately need a really good pitching performance to get a win. I think that was kind of what it felt like Giannis did tonight. And, you know, 20 points in the first half, you know, 17 in the second half, 11 assists. Just felt like, again, even with Phoenix trying to send bodies his way when they could get to him fast enough, they couldn't stop him. Obviously 1v1, they were too small. And when they sent that extra help early enough, Giannis, I thought, made really good decisions for the most part in terms of passing and, you know, finding other guys who, as we were saying tonight, didn't tend to miss many shots. And a lot of that was because of really good passing from him. So, yeah, you know, I mean, Giannis has been doing his part in these games that they've been losing. Obviously the game in Denver, obviously he didn't play, but, you know, you can't look at his numbers in March and say like, well, this guy's he's slumping, right? He had obviously a spell there after the All-Star break where it wasn't maybe typical Giannis, whether that was injuries, something else, you know, again, missing playmaking, which certainly he doesn't have a lot of help right now. So to see him over the past, you know, week or 10 days begin to really kind of exert his will and show who he is and what he does, and that, you know, even with all the noise around him, he can still be that dominant, best in the world type of guy. I mean, again, just we try to do it regularly. Giannis appreciation. This is another one of those nights where, you know, you look at him and you just say like, that's the best player I'm ever going to watch in my lifetime as a Bucks fan. And you just, you know, tip your cap to him. And another clutch block in the last, I don't know if it was last minute or 2 minutes, after, I think it might have been after another Nick Richards offensive rebound.
Yeah.
So yeah, just another night of Giannis doing Giannis things, and certainly without him doing that, you know, nothing else would have mattered. So yeah, one more reason to be thankful that Giannis Antetokounmpo is on our team and not somebody else's.
That shooting performance you mentioned, 55% and 68% from three for the Suns, and lose game 5 in the finals on the Jrue Holiday play. Yeah, I mean, it was trending towards that where you shoot. It was just a shade. At one point, it was 90% in the first quarter in the loss to the Hawks, 70% at halftime, and you're losing by 7. And then I knew they were efficient, but I remember at one point in the third quarter looking up and seeing, man, they're shooting 66% right now, and I think that's when they built up the lead to 22. And then you looked in the fourth quarter and saw it's still in the high 60s, and this is all of a sudden a 5-point game. Like, what is going on here? Doc talked after the game too, and I mean, look, he did say earlier in the season when they were 2-8, and in that stretch, like, I can feel the run coming, and we're about to turn the corner. I can see it. I don't know how much of that was hopium. We did see them go on a run, but he said after the game tonight, like, we're so close to being a very good and great offense. I can see it there. We referenced the efficiencies in the past couple of games. Like, we're close to turning that part on. And Ryan Rollins is a big part of that. I wanted to get to this a little bit later, but you mentioned Giannis' stat line. I mean, we have to get into what Ryan Rollins did, because 3 straight games that he sets a career high in points scored, Look, you'll see that occasionally when it's like a first-year guy in his first 5 games. He goes from 3 to 6 to 7 points. But for Ryan Rollins, 23 points tonight. Doc really praised his defense after the game and said, look, I know, let's take it with a grain of salt of who he's referring to, but hey, he took the Suns point guard out of the game and basically said he's got to play off ball. We've seen that from Ryan Rollins. What he continues to give you as a spacer is incredibly important. And he's gotten much better at just scoring in traffic and getting to the rim, getting into the paint and creating those looks that, look, I'm not trying to say the Bucks are in a better spot to have Ryan Rollins starting and playing than Damian Lillard. But the defense component, that's what you're going to have to lean into. And if Ryan Rollins is going to knock down shots, he's going to get open looks in the playoffs. These games are important, what he's showing you.
Yeah, and I mean, we've had the discussions about the fifth starter all year long, right? There's been different incarnations of the starting 5 around Giannis and Brook and Dame. But, Rollins was always kind of like a sleeper pick who, he's a, sort of error minimization guy in the sense that, he's versatile defensively, can defend the point of attack. He's not small. So, and he's got, a good wingspan, so he can defend, wings to an extent, right? And his 3-point shooting is, very solid. Catch and shoot guy, not an off the dribble type guy, but certainly as a catch and shoot sort of, put him in the corner, space him out. He can do that a bit. And, the biggest play he made tonight, I think were they up 4 or 3 when he drove down and finished with kind of his signature move now is driving to his left and finishing with his left hand.
With the left hand, yeah.
Which is not his dominant hand, but he, we're spoiled because we get to watch Giannis every night. Maybe the best, offhand dunker / finisher the sport's ever seen. Not a skill though, Justin. Nobody talks about it. So maybe we're just sort of numb to that sort of thing. But yeah, Rollins, I mean, he's been really good at that this whole year. And it seems like, with this kind of run that he's been on, it has been impressive just to see how often he's able to use that quickness and athleticism to get to the rim and finish. And again, I mean, it's hard with him because, I mean, like, he's not a put the ball in his hands and, dribble around and break down the defense and create easy shots for other guys or himself, like, consistently. But, he has gotten very good at kind of picking his spots and being opportunistic and, taking the fact that the defense doesn't key on him in a way that they would, a Giannis or Dame and take advantage of that and use it to his advantage. And obviously, shooting the 3 ball really well of late certainly is the big cherry on top for him. And, he hit a big, at least one big 3 in the fourth quarter, in addition to kind of the play I mentioned. So yeah, it's been really great to see, right? I mean, there have been a lot of encouraging stories, I think, with, young guys getting run, and this hasn't always necessarily been a consistent story throughout the year. Obviously, Ajax sort of had his spell. AJ Green, I think, has had like a consistently pretty good year kind of throughout. Even his recent shooting struggles really is not. I was amazed at how good he's shot it over the last month, even when it seemed like he was in a slump. It was like basically a 2-game slump, and then he kind of snapped out of it. And obviously, he's missed some games. He's missed the last couple of games as well, which, I think for this team right now hurts. So yeah, I mean, Rollins having his breakout, AJ Green obviously making strides. I think those guys have made really good cases for being the 5th starter, each of them. And, you kind of you have some optionality there, which, I mean, at this point you need Rollins starting because Damian Lillard is not, like close to coming back, and who knows if we'll see him again. It was good to see him at practice today wearing basketball shoes.
Yeah.
But, I think my understanding of that is, I don't know what is, I don't know if there's been an update on like kind of his blood thinner status, but it's like, it's not like he can't do stuff right now, but the risk is like, if he were to like get hit hard or something like that, bleeding and things like that would be very risky. So don't want to read too much into that, but but I mean, while he's out, it's a golden opportunity for Rollins and obviously Kevin Porter, who had the huge fourth quarter in the loss last game. And so if those guys can just figure out how to bottle the best versions of themselves and do that more often than, being anonymous, and being consistent defensively, which I think Rollins has been way better at and more consistent at than Porter has. You at least have a chance to finish the regular season in a positive way, especially with the schedule lightening up.